And what I got to thinking was, what if sound was this tangible object? What if you could literally touch it?
My name is Stephanie Ewen. I am the co-founder and president of the Tiny House Music Collective. I am also the new director of operations for the Dick and Jane project. I will talk more about both of those things in my presentation that I have here. But the first thing I'm going to do is ask any and all of you, are any of you musicians? Raise your hands. Benji, Ray, yeah, okay. Are any of you do any of you work in the music industry? Okay. Do any of you make your living off of music full-time? Or music-related things full-time?
I'll be attempting soon.
You'll be attempting soon?
Not yet.
Go for it, cool. All right, so for you non-musicians, how many of you have recently seen a show in Columbus? How many of you have recently seen a show in Columbus put on by local musicians exclusively? Okay. How many of you have bought on iTunes or listened to on Spotify or another streaming service any sort of local music in Columbus? Okay, a couple of you. And for the rest of you, why not? This is not a rhetorical question. Why not? Anyone? Can anyone answer?
It's not popular.
It's not popular? Okay.
Seems like you have to know somebody who's in a band, and then you'll listen to their band.
Okay.
But
So-
otherwise.
Since we're in the big room, does listening to Front Stage, for instance, count?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess that's how I hear local musicians, but I guess I don't know, aside from CD 1025, how do I
So you're
how do I
saying,
download or listen to local
right,
music?
you're saying that you don't know where to find it. You don't know, you don't have access to it. Go ahead.
I went to Independence Day, and I heard somebody that I really liked a lot, and I went home and I had to ask somebody in the crowd who it was, because there was no branding, there was no visible communication of who it was, and then I did some searches and I couldn't find anything.
And you couldn't find it. So literally no access. They didn't have their music up
I
online.
couldn't, well, I don't know, but
Or you just couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anybody else?
Say it's hard to find venues. We don't have many small local music venues in the city. that are-
You're sitting in one right now.
I just found out this existed this morning.
Yeah. I'm just gonna throw this out there. So Tiny House Music Collective, we actually have a website that lists all the venues in town, as well as the directory of bands sorted by genre. So if you have a particular genre, or if you would like to find out where the venues are, they are online. Okay. So there are actually shows every single night of the week in Columbus. Not just one or two, a lot. If you go to, I didn't have it pulled up. If you go to cringe.com right now or in the future, it lists by day of the week the shows that are happening in Columbus. It lists the venues. It has all of the addresses of the venues. Every once in a while there will be a tidbit of, go see this band, this is a good one. This is all put together by one person who has been in the Columbus music scene since probably the early 90s. But every single night of the week there is a show. You don't have to be a musician to go. You don't have to know musicians to go. You find the venues, you find the shows, you go. But this is one of the bigger problems in the Columbus music community, is that people don't know that. People don't know where the Big Room Bar is. People don't know that it exists. People don't know that you can go out any night of the week and see live music. So raise your hand if you are someone that listens to music. Right, okay. Huge disparity in the numbers here between people who listen to music and people who listen to music locally. And part of what I do in everything that I do is try to make that disparity smaller. Try to make Columbus a place where you can just go out on a regular night of the week or on a weekends or whenever suits your schedule and see live music, where you can go to Independence Day, know the band that's playing, go online and download their music. There's been a lot of talk in the last couple years in Columbus of making Columbus a destination for music, making it a place where, like Nashville or Austin or New York or LA, people think of Columbus and they think, great, music. Going to go see some music there, going to travel to Columbus to see music, going to travel to Columbus for a big festival or a particular artist who is from there. And so this idea is we label Columbus a destination for music, and as a result, we have more resources, we get a bigger audience, we inspire and create economic growth for musicians and for the city. Maybe a music label will see Columbus and come to town, see all the musicians and be like, you know what? This is a music city. We're moving our label here. We're going to find artists here. Great. Maybe we'll reach wider audiences. Maybe we'll become one of the New Yorks or LAs and be on a national level, a place where you can go and see music. And as a result, we'll have our very own Taylor Swift. Something like that. But this seems a little backwards to me. And the way I see it is we have to cultivate what we have here. We have to create our own resources. We have to make sure that they're seen by people who are outside of the music community who live in Columbus, by people who listen to music but maybe haven't seen a local show, maybe haven't been to the Big Room Bar, maybe don't listen to Front Stage, maybe don't know that Front Stage exists. We have to take the audiences that we have here, that we have available, and make them audiences. The people that listen to music, have them come and listen to music. Seems like a crazy idea. And as a result, make the music community more economically viable, because there's this weird misconception that you just can't make money off of music. You can't have music as a career. Don't let that scare you. Just do it. But if more people who already listen to music, people who already listen to things on Spotify, people who already download stuff on iTunes, were to do that same thing with local musicians, then we would have a much bigger, healthier economy for musicians in Columbus. So we're going to see this a little later. That's just a broad overview of what's going on in the Columbus music scene, what I do. How many of you took music lessons as a kid? A lot of you, okay. Why did you stop? Why did you stop playing music?
Because there was people way better at it than me.
Because there were people way better at it than you. All right. And when did you stop? Is another question. When and why did you stop? What's that?
I stopped in high school.
You stopped in high school? Why did you stop?
I guess I just didn't like the direction or the music that they were playing at my school.
Okay, good. I'll talk about that in a minute. You don't like the music. You didn't like the music they were playing at your school. Anybody else?
I stopped after high school
Uh-huh.
because I got married and had kids.
Okay. All right.
Those little mongers take up a lot of time.
They do. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But kids listen to music too.
Yes, they were exposed to it and they took lessons.
Oh. Are they still taking lessons?
No,
Do they
they're
still
grown
play?
adults with their own children now.
And when did they stop?
One, she went all the way through high school and stuck with it. My son stopped his freshman year because he didn't like the girl sitting next to him.
I took clarinet lessons through middle school. I stopped because we couldn't afford to rent the clarinet anymore. That's where I was at. Okay, anybody else? There were a lot of hands raised. You have to have some reasons. Go ahead.
I stopped in 7th grade. I went to an academically challenging school, and I
Uh-huh.
think I needed all my time for that.
Okay.
I was in band and I stopped because I thought the band kids were dorky.
Right, 'cause band is not a cool thing. Like, it's a cool thing, but it is not a cool thing. Let's be real.
That's
All
what
right.
7th grade means.
So, as I mentioned earlier, I work for the Dick and Jane Project. The Dick and Jane Project takes music education and tilts it a little bit. We go into middle schools and we connect middle school students with local musicians, local producers, people who are in the community, who write songs, who have stuff up on Spotify and iTunes, who play around town and around the state and around the country, who go on tour, who are professional working musicians. We bring them into schools, and we have this crazy idea that middle school students are the world's best lyricists because they don't have those inhibitions yet. They don't have that voice saying, well, other people are better than me, you know. They don't have really a filter. And so you have these lyricists in the music community who are adults, who are trying to find this essence to what they're trying to say, who are trying to have a voice. And you have middle school students who already have a voice. It's already there. They're going through puberty. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so the trouble there is that while middle school students are the best lyricists, they are not necessarily the best musicians. And so we solve that problem by bringing in the best musicians, in our opinion. And rather than handing them a clarinet or a trumpet or even a guitar and saying, we're going to learn a classical piece, right? We take the sound environment that they are already in and we work with it. So the first thing that the producers do in these workshops is they talk to the students and they say, what kind of music do you listen to? And the answer is not Stravinsky or Beethoven. It's Justin Bieber. It's Beyonce. It's 21 Pilots. It's whatever's on the radio. It's whatever they're listening to. It's whatever they have on their Spotify playlists. And that is what we work with. So these kids spend a couple weeks writing these songs with the musicians, the professional musicians that we bring in. And then the musicians then take those ideas, they produce the songs using the sounds that the kids want to hear, using the instrumentation that the kids like to listen to. And at the end of it, you have a song that we then play on the radio, we then put online on streaming services, and now suddenly these middle school students who maybe weren't interested in the music that was provided for them, or maybe don't have a music program in school, or maybe can't afford to rent the clarinet that they want to play, now have a published professional song that's being played on the radio. It's being turned into CDs. It is on iTunes. It's there forever for them to listen to. One of the things about children in the music scene anywhere, and in Columbus especially, is that, and this is a good quote from the founder of the Dick and Jane Project, we do not allow citizens of Columbus to have meaningful relationships with the music scene until they are 21 years old. We have music in bars. Oftentimes, you are not allowed into a bar unless you're 21 years old. Sometimes 18, if you're lucky, or if it's on a Tuesday night and they really need people to come. But what the Dick and Jane Project does is we foster those relationships with the music scene before they hit 21, before they're jaded, before they think, oh, it's too late for me to start a band, it's too late for me to play music, it's too late for me to write a song. We give them the opportunity to be a part of it. We give them the opportunity to work with actual musicians that they can see in a concert in Columbus. That is not just, oh, I have to pay, $50 to go see Chance the Rapper up in Cleveland. They can see them here. They can see them at Big Room Bar on a Friday night. And they can work with them in the classrooms. And I think that part of what makes the Dick and Jane Project so special is that the kids not only form a relationship with the musicians that they're working with the producers that they're working with, but with the music that they create, and with the idea of creating music. Because it's not, oh, I want to be famous one day. It's, oh, I want to be a musician one day. It's a much more achievable thing. It's a barrier that has been broken down. It's something that is accessible. It's not, well, you're not going to be able to be a musician because that's reaching for the stars. It's right here. It's right here in the city. So by allowing students to have access to the music community, by giving them a voice, by validating their voice and saying, yes, these are good lyrics, these are things that you can do within music that aren't just being a singer-songwriter, that aren't just being Justin Bieber and becoming famous. You can be just a songwriter, you can be a producer, you can be a session musician, someone who goes into the studio and just records. It's not, hey, get famous and then you're famous and that's how it works. There are steps, there's hard work, there's collaboration. We build the confidence of the students. We remove one of the barriers to entry that they have to getting into the Columbus music scene. We give them those connections. We allow them to explore creatively what it means to play music. And it's not just being in choir. It's not just giving them an instrument and saying, we'll go home and take this book and practice. It's saying, hey, let's write a cool song. Let's write a song about swimming in the pool. Let's write a song about that guy that went to the mall with you and only brought $2, so you had to buy him everything. That's an actual song, and it's great. It provides access to role models that are readily available. One of the neat things that happens in the Dick and Jane Project is that once a producer comes into a school and starts talking to the kids, that first day they go home, and what you see happen in their numbers online is that suddenly there are more page views on their website. Suddenly there are more plays on Spotify. Suddenly people are buying albums, and there's a bit of a spike in the online presence of these producers, and it's because those kids go home and they're like, well, this guy says he's a musician and he's going to be working with me and writing my song. I want to see what he's all about. I want to make sure that this person is cool. I want to make sure that this person actually writes some music that I want to write. So they go home and they listen to it and they come back and they just grill all of the producers. And they're like, well, I heard your one album. That's not what I want to do. I want to do this other thing. And they do. And I think most importantly, again, it changes the way that students think about music. It's not necessarily a thing that you have to just learn an instrument and play what's given to you. It makes it a lot more achievable. It takes the sounds that they already hear, the sounds that they're already familiar with, the sounds that they want to create, and gives them the ability to do that. One of my favorite quotes from the Dick and Jane Project from a student at Berwick Alternative, K-8, is, "It's exciting to know that people are listening to your song, and it's that recognition that makes you feel good about yourself and gives you the confidence to make you think that you can write another song." So these kids, after the workshop, after they've already created this piece of music, after they have already written the words and rewritten the words and worked with one another and worked with musicians, then think, hey, that was cool, I could probably do this again. And they do. I have actually a file here of quotes from students of the Dick and Jane Project. I think there's a...
there's a chord. I'm just looking for it. This one? Yes. Does that work?
Mm-hmm. Because I could talk about this all day, but I think it's more powerful if you just hear the students themselves, what they have to say.
My weirdness in a positive way. And we were like waiting for like our segment on the radio, And we were so excited when we were hearing it. We were like, oh my god, that's like my lyric, like I wrote that.
It's something that we get to cherish forever. Like we made a song together in a group.
It's exciting, you know, like to know that people are listening to your song. Yeah, and it's that recognition that makes you feel good about yourself, and it gives you that confidence to be able to think that you can write another song.
And the very end, just like hearing the song after, like knowing that we wrote those lyrics, we decided on the instruments. It was just like I could not stop smiling the whole time. I was just like, this is us.
It's like
writing this, and it's now a real thing.
it made me work harder. Yeah, that's the thing. It made me work harder.
It's a better way of dealing with like emotions if you write them down into a song, and you shouldn't be scared of letting other people see what your thoughts are.
As long as you have something that inspires you, you can write anything. It's kind of surreal because you're writing a song that will actually be played and like, listened to by actual people.
I just had that feeling when the lyrics, all the, what's it called? All the melodies came together. I really thought it was, I really knew it would be a song. I learned how to put my creative thoughts into something special.
It helped me build up my confidence.
Did it? How?
It built up my confidence because, well, I never really wrote a song, and now I feel more comfortable with how I am.
Like I said before, I couldn't stop smiling when I heard the song, so...
It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this.
Yeah.
Now it's like a song, and people can listen to my thoughts in a really artistic way, and I thought that was awesome. It made me really happy.
Yeah, you just gotta go for it. Don't be afraid of what you're saying.
I learned that I was more creative than I thought. Exactly.
That is good.
Yeah,
it's so famous. I know. Yeah, it sounds like a professional meeting.
I can be like, I wrote that. Well, me and my friends wrote that.
It made me like really like search my soul and my brain for like anything that could mean something and I could put into song lyrics.
So I was like, yeah, Mom, our song's gonna be on the radio. She was like, girl, you want? I was like, I swear.
I like the big game. Yep. That's what you say. Be creative. Nothing is wrong.
And music. Be creative, nothing is wrong. How great is that? It's so good. Speaking of which, so we partner up with WCBE, who plays these songs on the radio every Friday and Tuesday. So if you want to take a listen, if you listen to your local NPR station, a lot of people have heard the songs before and don't know. Actually, before I started speaking, before Ray started playing, the songs that we were playing over the speaker system here were Dick and Jane songs. I don't know if you noticed or paid attention, but if you didn't think they were really bad, it's a good sign. So, how am I on time?
You got 7 minutes.
Okay, cool. So back to this. Making Columbus a destination for music. Having resources and audiences and economic growth. One of the reasons that I'm so passionate about Dick and Jane, one of the reasons I started working with them, is because of this. When you start early and you start with what's already here, you don't have this big idea of a New York or an LA or an Austin. You say, what do we have in Columbus that we have to work with? What can we provide for ourselves? One of the things is musicians, one of the things is children, because kids are the future. And so you are not only giving these students resources that they need, that they don't necessarily get otherwise, but you're giving the musicians these resources too. They now have audiences and families. They now have connections to people, not just in the High Street corridor, not just in the Short North, not just at the venues that they play, but with real people who have day jobs, who don't necessarily go out to see shows because they have children who take up a lot of their time, but can still connect with them in that way. you are reaching a broader audience. You are reaching the people who love music but don't necessarily listen to local music. You are creating economic growth by having this opportunity to be paid to work with kids to write songs. And as a kid, you see music differently. You see it as a viable option for you. That you don't just have to learn the violin and play in a symphony if you want to be a musician. You can be a hip-hop artist, you can be a rock musician, you can be a recording engineer or a producer, or any number of things. You can work at a radio station. You can create really amazing gloves as an instrument. You can work with all sorts of people who you already have access to, and all it takes is a phone call or a text message or an email to be able to connect with those people because we already have them here. And so I think that the big takeaway for this, for you all, especially creatives in Columbus, is that we have this amazing group of people, group of resources in Columbus. And if we want to be the kind of city that is known for music, that has music throughout, we need to tap into those resources because they are everywhere. They're right in front of you. And part of what my job is, part of what my goal is in the city, is to make those more easily accessible for people, for kids, for you all, for anyone who wants to be supportive of the local economy. How many people here shop local? How many people here will sometimes go out of their way to shop local if it's an option? How many people here think it's important to support small businesses and local organizations? How many people here think that Columbus is great and want to see it grow? If you didn't raise your hand, you're a bad person. So musicians and bands and music organizations are essentially their own small businesses. And it's so easy to support them. It is so incredibly easy. And we have this weird idea that it's somehow out of reach, that it's, if someone is standing on a stage with a guitar, they are a rock star, they are inaccessible, but they probably live down the street from you. Benji lives down the street from this place. Benji, he's right here in the front. Here you go. Musicians are everywhere, and there are so many ways we can support that are not necessarily just going out to Big Room Bar on a Friday night, although you should. You can download their music online. You can listen to them on Spotify. You can, if you are having a Christmas party or a Hanukkah party or an anything party at your place of work, you can encourage whoever is organizing it to hire a local band. If you're creating a commercial, if you need to license music, you can license it from local musicians. If you are looking for an organization to support, there are so many music organizations in Columbus. Dick and Jane is just one of them. You can support your local radio stations, CD 102.5, WCBE. You can attend events that have musicians playing that aren't necessarily just a show. There's so much you can do, and it starts at the bottom with all of us. It doesn't start with a label that says, we are Columbus, we are a destination for music. Because we are a destination for music, and we just have to get to the point where it shows. So that's what I got.